Hello, I hope you are all fine. So it's time to the second panel of the day around esports. The theme of the second panel is esports and the startup world with Bertrand Amar, head of esports at Webedia, Mathieu Dallon, founding partner at Trust Esports VC, Antoine Francard, director at Tournament, Boris Bergerot, owner at STAKRN, and Ophélie Alassor, head of communication at Level 256. Guys, thank you very much for being with us, and the stage is yours.
Thank you, Jérôme, and welcome back, or welcome everyone for this second panel of the day, dedicated, as you have said, to the links, the numerous links between esports and the startup world. Around me, or almost around me today, let's start with Ophélie. Welcome, Ophélie. Ophélie Alassor, you're working for the Paris & Co agency organization, and you're working as a communication manager of Level 256. Could you first start with explain us what is Level 256?
Yes, so Level 256 is the esports platform dedicated to innovation and business development. So we support startups and companies which want to develop their business into esports. And we belong to Paris & Co, which is the biggest European incubator in Europe with more than 500 startups each year.
Okay, thank you, Ophélie. We're going to learn much more about what is Level 256 and the company you support in this panel. Let's move to Mathieu Dallon. You're the founder of the ESWC back in 2003, but now you have created a fund, Trust Esports, dedicated to the investment in esports.
Yes, hi everyone. So first, thank you very much for the invitation. And yes, I am running a small investment fund dedicated to esports startups. And we are financing people creating platforms or technology around the games. And maybe I will explain later what we do in details. But yeah, I'm running that.
Small or not so small?
It's small compared to the size of the industry, of course. So we are not financing games. We are not financing big clubs on big valuation, but we are putting around 1 million euros per companies we support. And this is a small fund of 20 million euros backed by Fimalac, who is the owner of Webedia, La Française des Jeux, FDJ, and also the family Amaury.
Okay. Let's welcome Boris Bergerot from STAKRN. Hello, Boris.
Hello, everyone.
And welcome on this panel. Could you introduce what is STAKRN, please?
Yes, of course. So thanks also for the invitation. STAKRN is an esports agency based in Montpellier, in the south of France. And the goal is to support some non-endemic brands, sports clubs, and investors to define the best way to define their strategy in esports. It could be around creating some esports team. It could be around sponsorship or many things. And we also have an activity focused on innovation, specifically around the real estate. And we attempt to design the next generation of the esports venue.
Like the Icon Arena in Toulouse.
Yes.
We're going to talk about in this panel. And now let's welcome Antoine Francard from Tournament. Hello, Antoine. You're the co-founder of Tournament. What is Tournament?
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm the founder of Tournament. Tournament is an esports technology. We help a lot of community organizers to create their events, from the ticketing system, match management, and the promotion of their event through widgets, etc.
Okay. Mathieu, you're involved in the esports world since almost 20 years, let's say more than 20 years from now. You did create different companies like League Arena or even the ESWC, which used to be the Electronic Sport World Cup back in 2003. Yes, nice logo. back in 2003, could you imagine back to those days how esports will become the business as it is nowadays?
Yeah, honestly, that was the goal. We first started as passionate gamers, and we had a dream that esports become one day a true global sport. And this is now a reality. So we saw the growth of this industry over the years. At first, it was, as said, a community movement made by passionate people. So we lived around 10 years in a jungle, unregulated jungle, with a lot of people creating their brands, taking the games with no rights, creating World Cup like I did, and inventing, in fact, what is esports today. So that period was led by people that created CPL, WCG. You have the giant check won by Bertrand Gropelier 20 years ago in Seoul on my wall. Yeah, I was the team leader of France in Korea at that time, so that was just for the le clin d'œil, the souvenir. So, and then of course this economy became something strong when publisher invested a lot of money and they understood that esports was a way to, of course, make business. So we will talk about that, but I see three stages since 2000. The first one is the jungle and the unregulated market, then the investment of publisher until the acquire of Twitch by Amazon. And then we are living in a period where the ecosystem now is rising. So we see a lot of startups today, a lot of associations like Level 256 or Francisport, for example, that are created to regulate this industry. And also publishers invest a lot of money in franchise leagues and clubs are raising a lot of money to become what is today PSG or the Real de Madrid. So we are now living in the rise of the ecosystem, but this is still a young economy, this is still weak, and this is not the end. I still have the feeling that this is the beginning of something that will be huge, even after 20 years.
Okay. Ophélie, you're in charge of the communication of the Level 256 agency or platform, development platform. What kind of startup do you support on a daily basis?
Inside Level 256, we support different kind of entrepreneurs. It can be from early stage startups to international company which want to open a branch in Europe. So we just ask for entrepreneurs to have already launched their businesses. We don't take what we call PowerPoint presentation, PowerPoint ID, because it is way too early, but we try to give them as much advices as possible to guide them, and sometimes we ask them to come back later because it will be better this way. And since we are more than just an incubator, we support many businesses and want to contribute in the economic development of esports in France and Europe. So it's kind of a hybrid platform, because we have this part which is dedicated to incubation of startups, but we also have what we call the house of esports. So we have an arena that can host events for brands, for teams, for tournament organizers, and we have also practice and bootcamp rooms for associations, because there is a lack of practice place to go, and we try to help the ecosystem to be more regulated this way, and we hope we can contribute to the development of esports with this project.
And you have also your own little esports arena in the heart of Paris.
Yes.
Since few weeks now.
Yes, that's that.
Beside the technologies and all the startups, there's another major concern for the esports world is the infrastructure, the arenas themselves. Boris, why is it so difficult to build esports dedicated arenas like the one you are working on, the Icon Arena in Toulouse?
Yes, indeed, it's not so easy to create something related to esports venues, even if we are seeing worldwide some concrete growth of the creation of venues dedicated to esports, especially in North America and in the Asian market. I would say that the main obstacle to the development of the venues comes in particular from the profitability of the investment, because we must therefore imagine new business models to find a balanced operation. It means that if you want to create only an esports arena, you have to think about to combine with other activities. That's the case, for example, for the Icon Arena, an innovative venue of 16,000 square meters in the city of Toulouse in France. And the Icon Arena will also include some specific spaces like co-working, co-living, catering, entertainment, of course, with interactive escape game, virtual reality center, augmented reality drone races, mixed reality center. You will also have a gaming house, a performance center for athletes and cyber athletes, an esports school, a startup accelerator, and many things. So the aim is to imagine some venues where several types of public can live together, both B2C, I think, and B2B. So in fact, it's financially complicated to design only esports arena, so dedicated to the practice of esports. I think this requires having regular events to fill the place. It's not so easy to have regular events in the same place and to attract some audience in the same location. And the revenue stream from the ticketing is not enough to cover the production costs. So from my point of view, it's necessary to design esports arenas where the practice, the show, the flexibility of the uses are at the heart of the strategy. So it's precisely the role of my company, which supports many real estate developers and investors to design innovative, profitable, and efficient venues dedicated to esports. So the difficulty comes from the cost of building such big esports venues, from hundred of seats to 2,000 or I don't know more seats in the same place. Of course, the audiences are different in Asia, in North America, in Europe, and the involvement of the publishers, the tournament, the championships, the league, to imagine and to attract some young people in these specific places are very key points to develop the business. And just to finish, I'd like to think about what happens in Asia with some esports arena standards. Specifically in China with Tencent, for example, and they want to create some big stadium, and it's very similar to what we see in traditional sports. But the most problem is coming from the economic side and the business model to create and imagine something strong.
Okay, when can we expect the Icon Arena of Toulouse to be open?
Yes, the goal is to open the venue before the Olympic Games in Paris in 2024, and to imagine some nice conferences with sports and esports to attract people and students from the university, to create some show matches, to organize some events with influencers, and of course with some LAN parties, and to start, but thinking with the relationship with the traditional sports and specifically the Olympic Games.
Okay. Before entering the arena, usually it starts online, and when it comes to online tournament, we move to Antoine Francard, the founder of Tournament. So basically, Tournament is an online platform that helps organization to start their tournament online before having maybe an offline final in an arena. That's it?
Sure. If you know Eventbrite, it's a ticketing system at the beginning, so you can open the registration of your tournament, and after that you will be able to manage the event. If you want to create a league, a bracket, etc., we help a lot of organizers in the world. And at the beginning, we have a lot of community grassroots organizers because more and more small communities are involved into esports. And at the end of the story, we also game publishers and brands to create their official pro leagues, World Cup, etc. And the idea also is to seamless the production because we have an API to let them directly get the data and display the bracket information into their official website and also into the stream. So we reduce the cost to organize events and we help them to increase the value for the viewers.
Talking about the cost, Tournament is a free platform. I mean, anybody can use Tournament to organize their own tournament with any game, any platform, PC, console, or even a mobile game. So how do you monetize your services?
Sure. At the beginning, it's open and free, so you can create an account and use the tool. But we have a paid model based on the API. If you want to do a white label tournament platform, if you want to integrate directly into your game, into your official website or technology, you can do it, and you have to pay a license to use our API. And also, we are part of Webedia. It's our parent company. And we are an entry point for the game publisher and brands. At the beginning, they use the technology to run their events. And on top of that, we can sell them tournament management, promotion of their tournaments.
Okay. Mathieu, at Trust Esports, I guess you receive a lot of proposal for many entrepreneurs that want to enter esports. How do you select the companies or the startups you support with the founder of Trust Esports?
Yes, that's very difficult because the default answer is no every day. So we received around 400 projects since the beginning. So 400 projects in 18 months. That's a lot. And we made 5 investments so far, and we are closing another one this summer. So it's a selectivity of 2%, less than 2%, between 1.5 and 2%. So there are a lot of very good projects with very talented entrepreneurs, but we have to say no because we have to first, of course, rely on the team. And we prefer having teams combining a tech guy, a sales guy, and a financial guy. And that's not the case on every project. Sometimes you just have sales guys, for example, and that want to create something innovative. And at the end, we know it's something weak. We also want to invest in companies with clear business models, and that's maybe the most difficult part when it comes to esports, because a lot of people they want to do a lot of things because they are passionate about this industry. So they want to produce content, they want to create technology, they want to talk to brands, for example, and they want to do a lot of things. And the focus is the key. When you want to be leader or you want some kind of success in what you do, you have to focus. So we prefer teams of people combining tech and sales and finance, focused people. And then we have a thesis of investment. So we are looking for people that will create technology that will enhance first the viewing experience, because we believe that this economy is based on the people watching the content. That's a fact. In fact, brands are looking for the audience of people watching esports. So everything that will enhance the viewing experience is very important for the growth of the industry. Then we want to support people that will monetize those audience. And today, the esports economy is locked inside the games mostly. So the only people that are making money out of this industry are the game publishers. So we want to free that model and support platforms or marketplaces that will create those business models that will make the sustainability of this entire ecosystem. So that's the monetization of the audience. And the third part, it's the support of all the innovative initiatives that will enhance the performances of the athletes. So we strongly believe that today you are still playing with a mouse and a keyboard, and that's already the past. The technology could make esports something very more deep in terms of performances. So it's about the devices, but I'm also talking about the access to the servers, the equity that you can have, the equality you can have when you are on a servers in terms of fairness, for example. So everything that will support a fair esports is very important. And also when it comes to online games, which is now crucial with the COVID crisis, how to make esports online fair and efficient. So we want to support also that kind of technology.
And you were talking about the viewer experience. We have a bad one as we have lose your video, Matt, but we still have your sound on. You were also talking about the crisis we face since months from now. Some medias, some journalists say that esports and gaming are the big winner of this COVID crisis. Is it true or not, according to you? I mean, in terms of investments, do you think that the crisis will increase the investment or not? We have lost Matt. Okay, I can ask the same question to Ophélie, who is working at level 2 56 with a lot of startups that are looking for funds to develop their business. Is the crisis we face a real danger for that kind of company, or do you think that it will create a lot of opportunities?
It's a huge question, and we discussed it a lot through the last month. The thing is that esports has a good image during this period because a lot of initiatives were made online, and some of them it was easier to shift back to online. But we need to think that esports is not about everything online. And some actors, just like everybody working in events, lose a lot of things, and major events were cancelled. So there is a lot of losing opportunities for this kind of person and jobs. But in the other side, we had a great initiative made, and some even success to do new things. And even at level 256, we had some startups that success to close fundings during this uncertain period. So I think it depends where you're looking, but in our side, it was pretty positive. So we will see when the crisis will come in the few months too. But I think it's something that is interesting for esports because we saw a lot of things being made, and esports was a little bit in the spotlight for a few months when it comes to everything related to Formula One or things like that. The sim racing was really something made during these times.
Yeah, Boris, during this crisis that we are facing since months, we have seen a lot of new traditional sports actors, like all the league, the Serie A, the Liga, the Bundesliga, the Formula One, all those traditional sports organization have moved to esports because all the sports has been stopped, and they switch to some virtual competition. For you, as you are working with some soccer club like Arsenal of FC Nantes, do you think that this crisis has bring a lot opportunities to esports and its development?
Yes, I would say the same as Ophélie and Matt about the potential of the power of esports and the entertainment side and the mainstream side of esports during the COVID. And of course, all the traditional sports stopped their activities. So many traditional players like I don't know, Griezmann or basketball, like Andrew Albisi, for example, or other guys in tennis like Gael Monfils. So I don't know. They moved to Twitch and they became kind of influencers. And we all know that the traditional players are also playing video games. So it's a reality. Even if it's come from the amateur side, from the young people to the stars in soccer, or the drivers in Formula One, for example, with Charles Leclerc and many other guys. So it brings into relief the fact that esports has a great potential to be mainstream and to interest new brands, and that's why we see some non-endemic brands coming more and more days and days in esports ecosystem, because the involvement of the audience on Twitch, on the social networks, are very interesting. And if we focus specifically on the sports, we see more and more relationship between the traditional sports and esports. We have something like 300 professional sports club around the world with an esports team, or more than just one esports team. And that's a good way for the club to engage new fans, to develop the merchandising side, to boost the audience and the engagement on social networks, to attract some new sponsors. Why not? And a key point is probably to organize something mixed between sports and esports. I hope in the stadium when all will be okay about esports and the new start of the traditional competition. So that's why at STAKRN we see we also have some pro gamers on the contract. They are playing for some soccer club on Pro Evolution Soccer or FIFA, but we have a strong experience with the Formula One because we have most of the best players in the world running on Forza Motorsport, Gran Turismo, etc. in sim racing, and they are running for Williams Esports, for example, Toyota, Ford, and some other big brands. And it was a nice opportunity, specifically for the sim racing, to be in front of the scene during the COVID. Help, of course, by some big names like Charles Leclerc or Alonso or the guys. So
very interesting. By the way, we did have a previous panel dedicated to the links between sports and esports. Yeah. So if you want to catch it in VOD or replay, it should be available in minutes. Antoine, in the esports business, there are a lot of independent company like yours, Tournament, the one you found, but since a few years, and we have seen the arrival of the big giants like Amazon on Twitch, Google with some rights on YouTube for Overwatch League or Call of Duty League, for example. According to you, the arrival of those big giants will bring opportunities, or it's a real danger for small companies and the entrepreneur?
Sure. At the beginning, it's impossible to not fear of their arrivals because, of course, they have a lot of money, power, relationship. But also, it will really depend on your business. If you are launching an esport streaming platform, of course, it will be really difficult to right now do it. But we still have some example, like Caffeine is a new platform coming and raising money because there are some plays still available on the market. But also, I think that seeing this guy coming into the market, it's a validation for the business esports actor. On our side, we are doing esport management, and right now, Facebook recently launched their own system, so it's much easier for us to talk to the brands or to big organizers and to say, okay, look at what we are doing. We are in the same market as Amazon, Facebook, etc. So it also can help the startup to validate their model.
Okay, Mathieu, when you decide to support startups, do you have in mind the company that would be able to buy this startup in the next few years? And so do you select companies that would be able to be bought by those giants like Amazon or Google or Facebook, because at the end the money is there?
Yes, of course, that's the way a fund earn money. So that's the business model of a fund. We enter in companies and then we exit the companies. And so when you talk to founders, you also have to educate them, and you have to set up a liquidity term in the contract that link the investor to the founders. And these liquidity terms are also linked to market opportunities, to the growth of this industry. That's why we are more thinking about what could be the future of esports more than what is esports today. So that's why we are investing in innovative startups that could create assets that will be relevant in 3, 5, or 7 years. And the goal is really to sell those assets to industrial partners that will make acquisition of those companies. So the big end game is, of course, to sell a company to Amazon, for example, or to Microsoft. But I really think that the esports industry will create interest, not only on the tech giant ecosystem, but also a lot of companies coming from media will have esports assets. A lot of companies coming from the sport industry will need esports assets in the future. People coming from the gambling or the betting industry will need esports assets. So there are a lot of exit opportunities in the future for the esports industry. And what is really interesting, and that's why I was talking about the rise of this ecosystem, is that there are still a place for champions. So we have a champion for streaming, which is Twitch. Twitch is challenged by mostly Chinese platforms today. We have a champion for communication. This is Discord, but there are still a place for a champion for the tournaments, for example, the tournaments organization. So tournament.com has a lot of competitors like Battlefy or Smash, but there is no leader on the market yet. No one is a leader in the betting industry for esports. No one is a leader, for example, in AI or coaching analysis of your game to be a better player, for example, or to give data to the betting industry. So there are a lot of places for champions. So we want to finance those future champions and then sell them to industrial leaders like the tech giants or sports giants or betting giants. Yeah.
Okay, so what advices could you give to the entrepreneur that you meet on a daily basis? You were talking about 400 files proposal that you did already receive. I guess you don't have talks with all of them, but what are the advices you could give to the audience that are looking to this panel this morning and who want to be entrepreneur in the esports world?
That's very difficult because in fact we are really meeting talented people. They already have a lot of skills, and what we want is to be chosen by those founders. We want to be the next associate, the next partner, and we really want to work closely with them. So what we do usually is that we are working together a lot before closing the deal. We are building together the business plan, for example, and we always want to be very aligned on the vision and the strategy. So the advice I would give is to be humble and to be ready to listen to what could be business advices, for example, from people that know this industry. And so to be open to have partners. And that's what we are looking for. Maybe other firms, they don't look to be as much as operational as we can be. So maybe this is just an advice with a value for Trust Esports, but I want to design the growth with the founders, and that's why I am doing this job today. Okay. So people with an open mind.
Of course. Ophélie, at level 256, what are the most common mistakes made by the entrepreneur you have met?
I will say something that is linked to what Mathieu said. I think the first thing would be maybe the roadmaps. It really depends on the startups we support, but some of them have difficulties to project themselves in 3 years, in 5 years, how they want to exit their company, because some of them, it's their goal to be bought by someone else. So we're trying to work with them, and it is something that investors are looking for because they want to have a great overview of where they want to go, and it's comforting for them to found something with a roadmaps for 3, 5, 10 years maybe. The other thing would be a bad knowledge of a risk or a wrong interpretation of a good idea and the business idea. Sometimes your idea won't be able to coexist with stakeholders because of intellectual property, because it belongs to publisher, as we said before, and you can't overcome this easily. So sometimes you think you have the idea for revolutioning the esports, but you will have big gaps between this, and maybe it's too soon because, as we said, the esports is on its way to be structured, and there is still a long road ahead of us, but we are trying to help them the best we can with that. And the other one is a little bit more linked to what I'm doing at level 256. It's about communication, but sometimes it's that communication is not the first thing they will think about when they launch their company. So they won't have any assets, any video teasing their project and things like that. And when you have an opportunity, a PR opportunity, a TV coming for an interview and things like that, you don't have asset at all to give them. And it's really a missed opportunity for them to have a free publicity. And I've been working a lot with them lately for this, because with the crisis we were facing, a lot of them were contacted for this, and sometimes just because you don't have a high quality logo and things like that, it's really small thing, but it can make a big difference for them. So I would say these 3 main things.
Yeah, media training is important.
Yes.
I agree. Antoine, most of your competitors are US based, like Faceit or all the other competitor. Is it more difficult for you, as you are based in Europe, to develop your business? Because obviously all the publishers are, I mean, I would say not all, but most of the publishers are US based as well.
Of course, it's a difficulty because a lot of the business is done not in official meetings, but in conference, in small talk, etc. And as we are based in Europe, we have to be in the US also at the Twitch conference, in the bar, in the area, etc. And of course, we are less present, but we have to also be aware of that, and so we communicate a lot on internet, of course, and with helping a lot of small organizers. After that, sometimes they are becoming part of the game publisher, and so they are aware of the tournament technology, but we can't beat the US competitor directly into their local market, of course.
Mathieu, do you think that it's more difficult to be Europe-based on that market or not?
I think it's a chance. For us, it's a chance. There are a lot of funds ready to invest in esports in USA. So this is a very competitive territory. And so in Europe, we are very few ready to invest in that kind of companies and in that still small industry. So there's a fund in Germany, Bitkraft, who is one of the leading fund in esports for 2 or 3 years now. There's a fund in the UK and Trust Esports in France, and we are ready to invest all over Europe. So we did an investment in Germany, in Berlin. We also did an investment in Portugal, investment in France. So that's a chance because first, the tech guys are very good in Europe and especially in France. There are a lot of system of financing and support from banks like BPI, BPI, for example, in France, or FEI at a European scale that can make a leverage effect on the financing, putting as much as money as we put in companies as a fund. So it doubles the capacity of production, and you don't have that kind of system in USA, for example. And this is also a chance because the way I see this market and the evolution of these markets, I really think that the core economy audiences are in China and mainly in Asia. And the core is in China. And the future belongs to China for many reasons. And that's another topic. But the day China will need to be a global leader with assets, leading communities, for example, in gaming, they will need to acquire companies based in Europe. And that will be more simple for China to make acquisition in Europe than in USA first. So that's why it's a chance. And this is how I see the evolution of the market.
Perfect. I got one last question for you, Mathieu. When we are talking about the fundraising in esports, usually we are the big numbers go to the esports team like Vitality, Cloud9, G2. Do you believe in those investments for people who have money to invest? Do you believe that it makes sense to invest as much money in esports clubs?
I think it is a long-term investment. So that's a part of the answer. For a fund like us, and mostly for funds, investment funds, this is not relevant to invest in such high valuation today because the liquidity terms for that kind of clubs are maybe scheduled over 10 years, 10 to 15 years. So that's why when we look at who made those investments, we see billionaires, for example, or individuals that have a lot of personal money and that are ready to invest for 10 or 15 years. This is not the case for most of the funds. So that's a part of the answer. And then what I think is that today, of course, there will be champions with company unicorns of clubs in the future, of course. Maybe it will be Vitality, maybe it will be Cloud9, we don't know. But today, we saw about 100 clubs raising big rounds based on very high valuation. And what I think is that there won't be enough places in the future for everyone. So there will be a lot of crash. And that's why this is a very risky business to invest in clubs with based on so high valuation. But there will be winners, of course. And so for some of them, maybe 10 out of 100 will be big leaders and will be the future PSG, for example, for sure.
Yeah. Boris, according to you, the future leaders of esports club will be, I would say, traditional esports club like Cloud9, Vitality, or G2, or the PSG, the Arsenal, or the other traditional sports club that are getting into esports?
That's a good question. I don't have the response about what could be the next big giant about esports club. But the fact is that, as Mathieu said, the investments in esports club are nowadays very urgent, but it's very you have to take some risk, and it's a culture of risk you have in the US or in different countries. You have celebrities in traditional sports from NBA, NFL, or other guys who invest in esports club, but I believe in the links between traditional sports. It could be about soccer, about basketball, rugby, or other traditional sports, to create synergies with esports club. And we already have some example in France with the PSG, for example, or Vitality with the Stade de France, or some other example. But the fact is to probably to help the traditional sports ecosystem to be educated, to understand the stakes, the issues, and the interest to invest in esports, for example, for a performance center, to mutualize the equipment, for example, and to create to develop the business, to have new sponsors. And it could be very interesting about monetization, about the audience on social networks as well, with some new fans coming from the esports ecosystem.
Sorry.
No, that's it.
No, that was very clear and very, very interesting. But we are already running at the end of this panel. Yeah. Once again, thanks to all of you. Thanks, Ophélie from level 256 from Paris & Co. Thank you, Ophélie. Thank you, Boris from STAKRN Agency. Thank you. Thank you, Mathieu from Trust Esports. And once again, thank you, Antoine from Tournament. This panel was very interesting, and the virtual conference continued today, and I'll be back on my side tomorrow morning for another panel. Bye-bye, and have a good day to everyone. Bye-bye.
Ciao. Goodbye.
Bye.